Hello everyone, Instructor Marvel here, week 2 of Philosophy 103, Informal Logic. I've had some technical difficulties trying to record this video. This is the third time I've attempted to record it, and it will be the last time tonight. So bear with me. It's a little late in the evening, but I'm going to try and get through this. So this week, our two discussions, we have deductive arguments and inductive arguments. I'm going to move rather quickly through these, but I hope to explain everything that you'll need to know to do them correctly. So with a deductive argument, there are two things that we evaluate. We evaluated the deductive argument for its validity and its soundness. Now, validity is simply making sure that the deductive argument is in the right form, in the right format. Because you could have any two old premises with some conclusion, but that doesn't mean that the argument is valid. It might be just in the right format, but in order for it to be valid, the conclusion has to necessarily follow from the two premises. So here's the example that I give of in the instructor guidance of a valid but unsound argument. And an unsound argument simply means that the argument just isn't true. That is, at least one of the premises are false, which makes the conclusion false. So in order to have a valid and sound argument, it has to be both in the correct form and it has to be true. So a valid but unsound argument, here's an example. And this week you'll be asked to create or formulate a valid and unsound argument and a valid and sound argument. So it shows that you understand the difference between the two. So the example I give on the instructor guidance is the first premise, all mammals walk on four legs. The second premise is human beings are mammals. And the conclusion is therefore human beings walk on four legs. So the first thing we do is we evaluate this for validity. So we look at the first statement. All mammals walk on four legs. Okay. Now, when we first evaluate for validity, we assume everything to be true. Okay? So we assume that's true. The second premise is human beings are mammals. And we assume that to be true. Now, if both of those are true, then it's necessarily the case that human beings walk on four legs. Because if all mammals walk on four legs, and human beings are just a subset of animals, or of mammals, then therefore human beings have to walk on four legs. That's a valid deductive argument. Now, the conclusion should clue you into the fact that this is not a sound argument. And even the first premise, all mammals walk on four legs, is false. We know that there are mammals that walk on, say, two legs, namely human beings. So, because the first premise is false, we know right there that the argument is not sound. And the unsoundness of the argument is confirmed when we reach a conclusion that says human beings walk on four legs. We know that's not true. So, it's a good example of a valid but unsound deductive argument. So, valid and sound deductive argument, well, the other example that I have on the instructor guidance is like this. The first premise is that all human beings are mortal. That is, all human beings will die one day. The second premise is that I am a human being, and the conclusion is therefore I am immortal, or I will die someday. So the first thing we do again is we evaluate for validity. And we say the first premise is all human beings are mortal. Alright, there's one. And I'm a human being, and if that's true, if both of those are true, then we can conclude that I'm mortal, because if all human beings are mortal, and I happen to be a human being, of which every human being in the world is mortal, then I have to be mortal. So it's a valid deductive argument. Now we evaluate for soundness. So the first premise, all human beings are mortal. And this is a true statement. Every human being will die someday. There is yet to be found any fountain of youth. Everyone does in fact die. The second premise, I am a human being. And if you are reading this, if you're enrolled in my Philosophy 103 class, then you are a human being, and that's a true statement. And therefore we know right away, right there, we know that the entire argument is sound because all of our premises are sound. That is, they're all true. That means necessarily because it's already valid, and we already know that the conclusion necessarily follows from the premises. And if both of our premises are true, then we know our conclusion is true also, and we have a valid and sound deductive argument. All right. So the next one is an inductive argument. And you're going to be writing one of these out as well. The example that I use on the instructor guidance for the inductive argument is fairly simple. This is Jane. When Jane and I went to the movies last month, Jane got popcorn. And then the second premise is when Jane and I went to the movies last week, Jane got popcorn. And based off of those two premises, I can conclude that next time Jane and I go to the movies, she will get popcorn. Now, the difference between that is a deductive argument, the conclusion necessarily follows from the premises. Here, it's not necessarily the case that Jane is going to get popcorn. But with an inductive argument, we can use past actions to justify some predictive action or something predictive, something that will happen in the future. So the assignment asks you to make an inductive argument. And it can be a simple inductive argument with just two premises, just like that. And then it's going to ask you to revise or add some premises to make it stronger. Or you could even revise your conclusion and change your conclusion to make it stronger so that the premises that you do have show your conclusion even easier than what it was before. Now, one way to make it stronger is you could say, every time I've gone to the movies with Jane for 5 years, every single time she's gotten popcorn. With that one premise, you're really strengthening your argument that she's going to get popcorn the next time you go. And the thing to realize, this difference between a conclusion necessarily following from the premises and an inductive argument where it's not necessary is that with an inductive argument, it might not be true. Your conclusion might not actually be true. Jane might actually get a candy bar the next time she goes to the movie. She might not actually get popcorn. But based on previous experiences, you're justified in concluding that the next time that she goes to the movies, she probably will. So it's about probabilities. So an inductive argument will never give you a 100% answer. The strongest inductive argument in the world is only ever going to get you 99.9% positive that your conclusion is correct. But that's pretty strong. That's a great inductive argument, and great inductive arguments are used all the time. Scientists use inductive arguments. That's the basis of a lot of our scientific theories, because then you can keep working on them and making them stronger. And they're never going to be 100%, but 99.9% is pretty good in the world of probabilities. Very good, in fact. So those are the two main assignments for this week. The deductive arguments and the inductive arguments. I hope that this quick run through and getting to hear it will help you explain it a little bit more than just reading it from your textbook and seeing it on the instructor guidance. If you have any questions about this during the week, first you should go. I can't respond to everyone because I have 60 students. I just don't have the time. I will respond to at least 40 students every week. But if you have questions about your discussion post, you should go look at my responses to other students first and see if those help you out at all. And if you're still stuck and you still can't figure it out, then you should email me individually or ask me on the Meet Your Instructor link, and I will get back to you as soon as possible and try to help you out. This is very difficult material, and it's hard to get a handle on the first time you're dealing with it. And for almost everyone here, I'm assuming that this probably is your first time doing this. So, if you don't get it right the first time and I respond to you, if you have time before the week is over, go back and try and do it again, because if you get it right the second or the third or the fourth or the fifth time, I'll give you full credit for the discussion post. But if you don't get it right the first time and I respond to you, and you don't work on it anymore, then you know, I can't give you full credit for that. And if I don't respond to you, I will, if I don't respond to you during the week and it just wasn't a very good post, I'll try to be, you know, lenient in my grading of you. But you should take the initiative to look at my comments on other people's things to see if you have gotten it right. And like I said, these the examples that I spoke about on this video are posted on the instructor guide, so you can see what a good example looks like, and hopefully that'll be enough to kind of get you started. And anyway, good luck this week, and I should have your week 1 grades posted by midnight on Thursday. And I hope everyone is doing well, and I hope that I hope you're excited to be learning this stuff. I know it can be a bit frustrating, especially when it's your first time, but trust me, this is really good stuff to be learning. And if you can master it and get a handle on it and get interested in it and maybe want to learn even more of it, it'll be really good for your academic and your professional careers. So have a great night, and until next time, I'll see you later.